about Intersubjectivity, Lesson 6. Let's ponder. Think of the people you encounter every day. Identify the persons to whom you are most likely to say the following statements. Write their names on the verbs. How are you today? Did you hear the latest news? I came back from a party last night. What do you think I should do with my life? I appreciate everything you have done to me. Without you, my life was lonely. Answer these 3 questions. Number 1. What sets apart the people whom you are close to from the casual acquaintances in your life? Who are the people considered the easiest to relate to, and whom do you find difficult to get along with? 3. What does having a meaningful relationship with others mean to you?
Let me share to you the lesson overview about intersubjectivity. The lesson focuses on human relations and introduces the concept of the self, the other, and intersubjectivity. Intersubjectivity is discussed as a shared awareness and understanding among persons and as the interaction of the self and the other. Individuals strive to engage in meaningful relationship with one another. As persons, we are driven by our shared dignity to treat one another with respect and acceptance. And what is the essential understanding of this subject? All persons have the natural tendency to relate with others in meaningful ways. We must, therefore, strive to establish genuine meaningful relationship with others. Our relationship help us grow and develop as persons, and our actions and interactions also benefit other people. Our ability to engage in meaningful interactions with other people, our surroundings, and everything around us is rooted in our capacity for self-awareness and transcendence. Before we begin to relate with others, we must first be aware of ourselves as rational individuals capable of determined and reasonable action. Interpersonal relations are made possible when the self becomes aware of the other, which includes everyone and everything outside of the self. Take a moment to look at your classmate. Are you aware of his or her existence? The answer is yes, since you can perceive your classmate through your senses. Your classmate is the other, or a being that exists outside of yourself. Now, take a look at an object on your desk. It may be a pencil, ball pen, piece of paper, or any object. That object is also an other. It is a thing that also exists outside of yourself. Now, which of the following actions is more reasonable? You begin talking to your classmate, telling him or her about a funny experience you had in school. You begin talking to ballpen on your desk, telling it about a funny experience you had in school. Of course, you will select the first statement, since it describes a reasonable and logical human act. You only interact with objects when you need to use them. You reach out for the pencil and paper only when you need to write. And you do not need to talk to these objects to enable them to enact their purpose. Interacting with other human beings, however, is a more complex act. What drives human persons to interact with their fellow humans in a more meaningful way? Our human nature not only enables us to recognize the self that defines our individuality, it also enables us to recognize that the other human beings also possess a self. We're able to relate meaningfully with the other human beings because we consider ourselves as essentially the same. This notion of recognizing the self in the other is how philosophers define interpersonal relations. The interaction between the self and the other is related to the philosophical concept of intersubjectivity, which is the mutual recognition of each other as persons. It cannot be denied that we interact with the other beings in the world, but some of these beings that we interact with the persons and must be recognized as such. Intersubjectivity also carries the meaning of a unique relationship between distinct subjects. It refers to the characteristics of the human person to engage in a very intimate and personal relationship with others who are different from him or her, but who are also like him or her. This is possible because the person has an inner life or interiority. Having an inner life allows the person to give himself or herself to others. This also allows the individual to receive others in his or her life and relate with them. Intersubjectivity also allows a person to become closer to others in many different ways. In everyday social interactions, persons have the ability to agree and cooperate with each other. There is also the experience of shared or common knowledge and shared emotions such as grief, joy, and love. A closer look at everyday interactions reveals instances where the self interacts with the other. Philosophers identify various levels of self-other interaction. The first is the simple awareness of the existence of the other. When we see other people walking down the street, we are aware that there are other beings unique from us, and that they exist outside of our own awareness or perception. A deeper level of interaction between the self and the other, on the other hand, is the awareness of the self as being seen by others. Imagine, for instance, that one of the people you are watching suddenly stops and looks straight at you. You are immediately aware of this person's action as an other. This stranger is looking at your direction. Also, you are aware of another significant fact. You know that the stranger staring at you is aware of you as a person. This self-conscious is considered by philosophers as a defining characteristic of the self-other relationship. Now, imagine that the person is not a stranger, but someone familiar. A family member, a friend, even your crush. This awareness of the person staring at you will initially result in the feeling of self-consciousness, even shame. In fact, several questions will begin to run in your head, such as, what is he or she thinking when he or she looks at me? Am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with the way I look? Is he or she about to say something to me? The unique phenomenon of the human gaze is considered defining characteristics which sets apart human interaction from the interaction of other species. Also, the awareness of the self in the other is an important element in all other aspects of interpersonal interactions. The way we act with other people is often influenced by our ideas on how these people see us. Therefore, if we have the idea that our parents think of us as quiet and obedient, we often act that way with them. However, when we are with our friends and we think that they see us outgoing and boisterous, we also adjust our behavior to conform to how we think they expect to act. This is also true when considering social context. How we behave in church is different from our behavior in a lively party. These actions are referred to as seeming, where an individual presents himself or herself in a certain way when dealing with others. Persons take on roles or act out characters when dealing with certain people or when in certain situations. This is considered as an unconscious, natural act on the part of humans. However, there may be instances when people behave a certain way in order to intentionally deceive or manipulate other people. Surely, you have heard of the terms plastic and sip-sip, which refer to manipulative behaviors that are done by some people in pursuit of selfish interests.
You're expected to be able to realize that intersubjectivity requires accepting differences and not imposing on others. Explain that authentic dialogue means accepting others even if they are different from themselves. And perform activities that demonstrate an appreciation for the talents of persons with disabilities and those from the underprivileged sectors of society.
Question: what characterizes a human interaction? Most human interactions, however, are not based on deception, since our human nature drives us to uphold dignity and goodness. Our interactions with others are also geared toward what is good and beneficial. This leads humans to strive to achieve deeper and more substantial interactions and relations with other people. This deeper and more genuine interaction is called a dialogue, and this is made possible when the self realizes that the other is a genuine and unique individual. When the two individuals begin to view each other as an other that is truly acknowledging each other's presence, then that is the beginning of an authentic relationship and a dialogue. A dialogue is an interaction between persons that happens through speech or the use of words, expressions, and body language. The person is a being who is open to others and is capable of receiving others in a dialogue. Ordinarily, we think of it as a kind of communication that usually occurs through a conversation. However, it must be noted that a dialogue is not confined to words. Actions, gestures, and other expressions may be used to convey a person's inner life, because persons are beings with inner lives. The words uttered during a dialogue are rooted in each person's inner life. Whenever a person speaks, he or she expresses a personal interiority and communicates this part of himself or herself to another person. This is the reason why it is not possible to have a dialogue with a material object, a plant, or even a pet. Only beings with interiority or an inner life can engage in a dialogue. A person's words, expressions, and body language become the means by which he or she is able to express a part of himself or herself to another person. Apart from being expressing and conveying oneself, the person is also capable of receiving the words, thoughts, emotions, and ideas of another person. The dialogue, therefore, becomes a means by which persons are able to share in each other's lives. The notion of a dialogue becomes clearer when we reflect on the nature of our conversations with other people. The conversations you have with casual acquaintances are different from those with people who are closest to you. Casual conversations with other people often consist of discussing news or occurrences. We often conduct our normal conversations in this manner. But when we are with friends and family, we are comfortable discussing more personal issues like life goals, emotional problems, and moral dilemmas. You will not engage a random stranger on the street in a conversation about whenever or whether or not you should give up your ambition in life for welfare of your family. Instead, you will seek out a person whom you consider most trustworthy and reliable to listen to your thoughts and concerns. A dialogue occurs when two persons open up to each other and give and receive one another in their encounter. Genuine dialogue occurs when persons are willing to share themselves with one another. The awareness of each other's presence as a true person is defined by the acceptance of each other's uniqueness and differences. When each individual enters into a dialogue with this mindset, then it is truly a dialogue between equals. Now, it's your turn. Discuss. Number 1. What enables human persons to establish meaningful interactions with others? Number 2. How is intersubjectivity related to self-awareness and transcendence? Number 3. Discuss instances in your life when you engage in seeming behavior. What drove you to act in such manner? And number 4. How does establishing a dialogue with others benefit a person? Name individuals with whom you establish a dialogue. Then, reflect. Reflect on your interaction with your family, friends, schoolmates, and members of your community. Which of these statements best describes in the interaction you had and the relationship you have established with others? Number 1. I welcome opportunities to meet new people and get to know them better. Number 2. I am only nice to people I know and I tend to ignore strangers. Number 3. I am comfortable being with a lot of people in different situations. Number 4. I do not like being with other people in strange situations. Number 5. I'd rather be with a few trusted friends than with many people I do not really know. Number 6. I always treat the people I meet with respect. Number 7. I feel that the people I interact with do not really like me. Number 8. Whenever I interact with other people, I always strive to make a good impression. 9. I really do not care about what other people think of me and how they see my behavior.
If you dream of living a great life, being happy and successful, you're not alone. Everywhere in Europe, young people share this dream, and they're working hard to achieve it. There's so much you can do yourself, but you also need the best possible circumstances. That's why you need your country to work on the best policies, to get you great opportunities and maximum support. There's an incredible European resource of ideas and experiences that can help create the best policies. If only we had a good method to select and share them. That's where the structured dialogue comes in. The structured dialogue is a dialogue between young people and policymakers from all over Europe. It takes place in cycles with 3 youth conferences. During the first conference, we pick the challenges around a central theme. After this, participants go back to their country and question youth about their experiences and ideas. This is input for the second conference, where we embrace solutions to tackle those challenges. After this, we prepare for the final conference, where we decide how to implement them and make it all happen.
How does intersubjectivity define our interactions with other persons? Philosophers agree that it is important for humans to pursue and achieve genuine relationships to attain development. Human persons naturally seek and are able to achieve and maintain genuine, meaningful relations with each other. The human person is considered as a being with others, which means that his or her identity and destiny are shaped by relating with others. Human existence is a continual dialogue with the other, and that the self becomes whole through interaction with other people and his or her surroundings. Empathy, or the ability to share emotions, is an important aspect of intersubjectivity. This emotion is driven by a person's awareness that the other is a person with thoughts and feelings. Human persons are actively aware of the emotional states of other people, and they use this information to determine their own actions and behaviors. Empathy enables us to experience another person's emotions, such as happiness, anger, sadness, and other related feelings. In a manner of speaking, sympathy is feeling with and empathy is a feeling in. For instance, how would you behave around a friend who just informed you that his or her parent has died? Empathy enables you not only to share your friend's grief and offer him or her comfort during a difficult experience, but also to feel the grief of that person, even if it wasn't your own relative's death. Person can also share more positive emotions such as joy and pride. Examples include basketball enthusiasts celebrating their favorite team's victory, and parents taking pride in their child's achievement during graduation. By allowing us to share in another person's emotion, empathy also enables us to place ourselves in their shoes. Another characteristic of meaningful and genuine human relationships is availability, or the willingness of a person to be present and be at the disposal of another. You may have encountered a situation where you needed help. For instance, you went to an unfamiliar place and cannot locate the place where you are supposed to go. What will you do? You might think of asking directions from the people living in the area. How will you feel if you were asking for directions, but the people you were asking keep ignoring you? What will you think about these people? Let's say a stranger approaches you in the street asking for help. What will be your first reaction? Will you try and help that person, or you will ignore him or her? The ethics of care is an ethical theory that emphasizes the moral dimension of relationship and interaction. This moral perspective encourages individuals to help other people, most especially the vulnerable. Proponents of the ethics of care believe that people have a moral obligation to respond to the needs of other people, and one cannot turn a blind eye on the problems of others. People relate to each other in a different way, and this gives rise to varying degrees of dependence among people. Those who are able to help or give assistance should consider the specific needs of the people they are helping. Look at the following pictures. What can you do to lend assistance to these people? Not all human interactions, however, are positive. These are those who view other people negatively and consider human actions as being influenced by selfish interest. This pessimistic view considers human relationship frustrating and often inauthentic or deceptive. A person that adopts this negative view is said to be experiencing alienation. This arises when a person ceases to view the other as a distinct and authentic person and merely considers the other person as a mere object or a means to satisfy personal interests. You might have encountered people who have in a rude and offensive manner against others whom they consider different from them. We often hear the term metapobre used to describe well-off people who look down on other people that they consider poor. In restaurant, you might have heard a customer berating and serving staff and even insulting them for committing a mistake. How did you feel when you encountered this situation? Our human nature drives us to feel indignation against this kind of behavior because we know that these actions are an insult to human dignity. Feelings or views of alienation, if left unaddressed, give rise to negative views and actions directed against a person or group of persons. Alienation goes against the concept of personhood because this view discounts the humanity and dignity of a person and leads to dehumanization. Imagine that your schoolmates cease to call each other by their names and instead choose to highlight their physical flaw. Those with dark skin will call negro or negra. These with a speech impediment will be called ngungo. Those who lack height will be called panda. And those who are not attractive will be called pangit. And let's imagine that those who do not possess these physical flaws will consider themselves superior and act as if those with flaws do not deserve to belong in school and should therefore be treated unfairly. Do you think that there will be harmony in your school? Imagine if you were one of these people being ridiculed. How would you feel if you were treated in this manner? What would you think will happen if this behavior becomes prevalent in our society? Society must be founded on relationships and bonds established through mutual respect and recognition of human dignity. If we recognize that the other person is the same as ourselves, if we consider him or her as an individual with dignity, as a person no different from us, then we will be able to forge ties and build a community of harmony. Discuss. Number 1. How does empathy enable persons to establish genuine relationship with others? Number 2. What is availability? Have you ever made yourself available for others? Number 3. Why is alienation a threat to genuine human relationships? Let us watch this Helen Keller movie clip. From 1880 to 1968. Helen Keller was an American author, political activist, and the first deaf-blind person to earn a bachelor's degree. She lost her hearing and sight when she was an infant due to an illness. Growing up, she developed the system of signs to communicate with her family. When Helen was 7 years old, she met Anne Sullivan, a teacher who was herself visually impaired. Anne taught Helen to recognize objects and learn their names, and Helen quickly learned. Helen went on to attend an institute for the blind and deaf, and at the age of 16, entered the Cambridge School for Young Learners. 4 years later, she was admitted to Redcliffe College. Helen was accompanied and guided by Anne Sullivan throughout her studies. Despite being blind and deaf, Helen learned to hear people's speech by feeling their lips with her hands. She became proficient at music, braille, and reading sign language. She eventually learned how to speak and became a well-known public speaker. Soon, after graduating from college, Helen spent her time giving speeches and writing books. At age 22, she published an autobiography, The Story of My Life, which described her life and struggles growing up. The book became the basis of a popular play titled The Miracle Worker.
deep thirst to see and know more about life.
I'm the person with roam around the school and exploring, looking at things, observing myself. I find enjoyment in seeing life as it moves. Parang looking at the flowers, looking at my friends'
By age 6, tragedy struck. Rochelle had found an asthma. It took some medicine not knowing she was deep in tonsillitis, a rare condition that made her body reject medication. As a result of her medication, Rochelle learned to find.
My last memory was that of my family. That is the time that all of my family members were with me. I wasn't the sort of person who would blame God or ask him why he has to give me this thing. Well, I don't know, I guess even as a child, I have felt that everything had a purpose.
Despite her condition, Rochelle urged her parents to enroll her in regular school.
I wanted to prove to myself that even though I'm blind, I still belong, make myself belong, not just to the society where earlier I was born. So being at a regular school, that has a special discipline. So me being in the regular class, and we had special sessions. Where we would have talking, writing, reading, actually, natakot ako nun kasi baka yung relationship namin would not be so good between me and my classmates. But I was surprised because my friends there, my classmates there, were really sympathetic. They wouldn't even talk about it even as a joke.
To everyone's surprise, Rochelle graduated valedictorian of the class.
Gulat pa nga ako. Ano nangyari? Bakit nagsisin yung tao? Tapos, siguro yung first stage ko rin ako sa the mother of the one who ranked second. Well, the one who ranked second was around 9. And the mother said, with me around, okay, congratulations. And I'm down. So, parang sa akin, parang that was a challenge to me.
Challenge. Rochelle also topped her class at the Ramon Magsaysay High School. It was not an easy climb to the top. Once in a while, she would still encounter insensitive people.
So cry, parang, ang cute ko. Why do I have to cry about them people?
Today, Rochelle is a full scholar at the Ateneo de Manila University, where she majors in math, her favorite subject.
College life is fun because here you could relate with so many people, different attitudes, and it's funny because other people feel so awkward talking to a different person. Some of them would talk so loud as if they're talking to a doctor.
In class, Rochelle used a special machine called Creative Machine to record her notes. All her exams are printed and written in Braille.
After that, I would submit my answers in Braille and then would just meet with my teacher during our free time so I could read the answers.
She gets to her classes with a help of her friends.
She was a very good student. She got an A. It takes a lot of effort to take part, not just local but an ordinary student.
Recently, she has been chosen as a Central Model Student.
Of course, I was happy and I was really grateful because like it's different from what I've been experiencing back in high school and elementary. That the attitude was really positive.
This March, Rochelle is set to graduate with top honors from her alma mater.
I believe that as of now, my greatest contribution is to be able to finish with honors. In that way, I'll be able to represent the whole blind community. I've always told them that for the blind, we have just lost our sight, not our gut and our brain. So one shouldn't think that we could not perform as well as others. If ever I'd be asked to give a speech on graduation, I'd probably talk about overcoming one's limitations. In overcoming one's limitations, it is always with self-love. I guess I would draw inspiration from the Bible verse, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, where the Lord would say, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. I will boast most gladly of my weaknesses in order that the power of Christ be with me. I believe that everybody has his or her own
Belle is even thankful for her blindness.
Now I'm able to see clearly how beautiful the world is. Because I appreciate every single thing. When I get new things like somebody is doing this, I'm able to appreciate it actually. Not just the way it looks, but also the intention of the person who gave it to me. I'm visually impaired and yet I see better.
Various advocacies supporting persons with disabilities have resulted in the institution of events and commemorations, such as the Paralympics, an international sports competition modeled after the Olympics that features athletes with disabilities. The United Nations has also instituted days of awareness, such as World Down Syndrome Day every March 21, World Autism Awareness Day April 2, and International Day of Persons with Disabilities every December 3. Countries around the world are encouraged to celebrate these days with activities that highlight individuals with disabilities. In many of these events, people with disabilities come together to showcase their abilities and talents in talent shows, symposiums, and conventions. These events bring together able and disabled persons in the spirit of friendship and cooperation. Another group of people who experience hardship and discrimination are the underprivileged. They have less in terms of material possessions. Despite the differences in lifestyle, social class, and experience, our shared humanity allows us to engage with each other respectfully and render assistance to each other. The act of assistance or giving, however, must be done in the spirit of mutual respect. One must extend help wholeheartedly, without reservation or a patronizing attitude. We help those in need because we need to be better about ourselves. We do it out of an obligation to uphold the dignity of our fellow persons. Apart from people with disabilities and the underprivileged, there are also others who are left out or isolated from groups or society because they have been deemed different. Who among your classmates is considered by many to be weird or different? How does this view affect the way you treat this particular classmate? Do you see yourself befriending him or her? If you reflect on the way you have related to your classmate, can you say that you have been treating him or her as a person? Reflect on the people closest to you and evaluate if you have been engaging in genuine dialogue with them. Can you say that your friends have helped you become a better person? Think of the other people in your life. Who do you feel from having a friend? Reflecting on our interactions can better inform us of the motivations that drive us to reach out and interact with others. Knowledge of our capacity for intersubjectivity and the opportunities it provides for fostering personal growth and welfare will enable us to make better choices and decisions as we continue to relate with others and uphold positive relationships in our lives. Before you go over the assigned classworks as reflected in your activity sheet, let me summarize to you about our lesson regarding intersubjectivity. Remember, class, that a person's ability to engage in meaningful interactions with other people, his or her surroundings, and the things around him or her is rooted in the human capacity for self-awareness and transcendence. Intersubjectivity refers to the shared awareness and understanding among persons. It is made possible by the awareness of the self and the other. The relationship between the self and the other enables the person to relate to others and establish and maintain meaningful relationships. Seeming action refers to the way a person presents himself or herself when dealing with others. This is considered a natural and often unconscious act. Some people, however, engage in seeming actions to deceive and manipulate others. A deep and genuine relationship between persons is called a dialogue. Dialogue happens when two persons truly acknowledge each other's presence and treat each other as equals. Empathy is an important aspect of intersubjectivity. and is driven by person's awareness of the emotions and thoughts of other people. It enables a person to place him or herself in the shoes of others and leads to a greater understanding and appreciation of others. Availability refers to the willingness of a person to be present for another and to render assistance to another. The theory on the ethics of care emphasizes the moral dimension of human interactions. It believes that people have moral obligation to respond to the needs of others and encourage individuals to extend help to people in need. Alienation refers to a state when a person ceases to view the other as a distinct and authentic person. Rather, the person considers others as merely objects or means to satisfy personal interests or desires. Meaningful and beneficial human relationships are founded on the values of acceptance, openness, and respect. As humans, we are driven by our shared dignity to treat each other with respect and acceptance. You may now proceed to your activity sheets and or our Google Classroom. Remember our class code and the set deadline. See ya!